Hi. So let's just talk about shareholder agreements for a minute, because this has cropped up recently for a client, and I think it's really important that people understand what they are and the number one reason that you need one. So the official line is that a shareholders agreement is basically an agreement entered into between all or some of the shareholders in a company, and it regulates that relationship between the shareholders. So management of the company, ownership of shares, protection of shareholders, what happens if shareholders fall out. So that's the official line. My number one reason for having a shareholders agreement, if there is more than one shareholder, obviously you can't have an agreement with yourself. The number one reason is, let's face it, none of us go into business anticipating a fallout. None of us go into business thinking that your co-shareholder is perhaps not going to pull their weight. Now, this is in the instance where you're perhaps co-directors and co-shareholders and you're also running and managing the business. Nobody thinks that they're going to fall out. Nobody thinks that someone's going to want to kick someone out. Nobody, you just don't go into or form business relationships in that way. However, it does happen. People can work together for years and it'd be fine. And then suddenly something changes, the dynamic of the relationship changes, and they feel that perhaps one person isn't doing what they should be. So in the instance, for example, where you have co-directors and 50-50 shareholders, and one of those co-directors and 50-50 shareholder isn't pulling their weight and the other one wants to get them out, lo and behold, if there's no agreement that dictates or sets out the process for that to happen, it's really difficult to get out of. Now, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. There is always scope for negotiation. However, if there had been a shareholders agreement in place that sets out what to do, how, when, by what means, the whole process, everybody's lives would be easier, less expensive, and less stressful. So the number one reason to have a shareholders agreement, in my opinion, is to cover issues when there is a dispute and what to do when there is a dispute. So particularly if you are a co-director and 50-50 shareholder of a company limited by shares, get a shareholders agreement in place now, like yesterday, because who knows what the next 6 months is going to bring for you and your business. And it's really important that everyone knows what's expected of them and that they're on the same page. If you have minority shareholders and majority shareholders, get a shareholders agreement in place. If there is more than one shareholder in your company, get one done ASAP, just in case there's a problem in the future. So I hope that's helped. Obviously, as always, this is not legal advice. It's just my thoughts and my expressing my opinion and the basis of the experience that I have had dealing with this kind of dispute for clients. So I hope that helps, and have a good evening.